This is a warning. The Grim Reaper of radio, Bob Romanik, with his off-the-record show is about to air. He's probably the nastiest and craziest son of a bitch that you've ever had the misfortune to encounter. The Grim Reaper show will be very controversial and probably quite tasteless. If you are even slightly offended by controversial matter concerning religion, racial matters, politics, or life's problems, you are hereby warned to turn this program off immediately. The Grim Reaper show will be, like his face, very scary and very ugly. At this time, not proudly, but shamefully presents to you Bob Romanik, the craziest son of a bitch on the radio today.
This is Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, your guardian of the First Amendment, Radical Radio. And we are, as always, proud, very proud to be the Patriot. Good morning, everybody. It's going to rain again. Weather report's over. You don't have to sit by the TV for 6 hours. It's going to rain. It's going to be a little overcast. And we're going to have flooding. That's it. See, 30 seconds. It's all over. The hell with those other stations. Don't sit there glued to the TV for 3 or 4, 5 hours. Let's take care of our community service bulletin board, and then we're going to... I got to get back. I'm going to go to Cahokia a little bit down to East St. Louis. Got to get back on this Confederate flag. I'll bet you I had 75 people talk to me yesterday, pro and con, black and white, and someone said, "Hey, Romanik, you going to piss off some people?" I said, "Hey, number one, this is America. Number two, I got a right to say what I want to say. And number three, as important as those other two, the people that I talk to after they listen to me, they've got every right to be pissed off. This is America. You get pissed off of what I say. I don't want you to get pissed off what I say and then say, oh, I'm not pissed off. No, if you're pissed off, be pissed off. That's what's great about this country. We don't all have to agree. You don't see 30 cars out in your parking lot and they're all white or they're all black or they're all blue. You don't see people wearing the same clothes, wearing the same hairdo, the same color hair, and the same color skin. That's what's great about this great country of ours. We do what the hell we want to do, as long as it doesn't bother somebody else. I mean physically bother somebody else. It's going to mentally bother. It bothers me when I see God, Sprague, and Mark, Sweet Cakes, Kern, and John Red on the noodle like a pecker on the poodle, Bear Civic walking down the street. And they got, Bear Civic's got his son, a job Bear Civic, following him around. That pisses me off. But you know what? I sit there and I smile because what a great country. I can piss them off, they can piss me off, and we can go about our lives. What a great country we live in. Speaking of great countries, I always want to salute all the veterans groups, and especially the American Legion Post out of Belleville, 1937. They're having their meat shoot at noon this Sunday, June the 28th, at TR's place, 4901 Concordia Church Road. If you have any concerns, need any information, you can call their great commander, Jim Farbus at 409-1213. Cosmic Bingo, also Saturday, June the 27th, at the Quail Club. Oh, that's TR's place. They're both on Concordia Road. The Quail Club will be hosting the Cosmic Bingo. All proceeds benefit Hope for Heroes. And the Quail Club's located at 8303 Concordia Road in Belleville, Illinois. $25 per person. And again, it's to a great cause. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call Fran Harris Schaefer. It's 618-632-1803. And Craig, thank you very much for all that information. This Saturday at 5 o'clock p.m. at Three Springs Park in Shiloh, the Friedrich Fireworks huge 25th anniversary thank you party. They're going to have a great big fireworks display on the 27th, on Saturday, June the 27th. Great music from the Tailgate Troubadours, Little Sister, whoever the hell she is, Elvis and the Flashbacks, and the Singing Sheriff. Admission's free. They say don't forget your lawn chair. They're going to pay tribute to all of our military heroes. And they're going to have a special double-shot fireworks display that it says here you'll have to see to believe. Plus, there's going to be great food by Royale Catering. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call 888-432-1232. So Saturday again, June the 27th. A lot of crap going on this Saturday. Saturday, June the 27th, from 3 to 7 p.m. at Vote Hall in the great little village of Caseyville, Illinois, the St. Stephen's Parish. All-you-can-eat chicken dinner, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy. Adults $10, senior citizens $7. If you can make it out there, help out those good people for a great cause. Pick me up on iTunes. Type in Bob Romanik and/or the Grim Reaper of Radio. You can go to our streaming at insanebroadcasting.com. One word, common spelling. You can like us on Facebook at KQQZ 1190 AM, or go to our sister station, KZQZ 1430 AM, for 5,000 of the best 50s and 60s. You can also hear my repeat performance every day, Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock p.m., and now, broadcasting from the graveyard to the graveyard shift. I broadcast every night at the stroke of midnight, Monday through Friday. On this date, June the 25th, 1876, Custer's last stand. General George Custer went down in defeat at Little Bighorn, Montana. And remember that. That happened in 1876. We're going to talk about that when we talk about the Confederate flag. So remember, Custer's last stand. Custer went down in defeat at Little Bighorn in Montana on this date, June the 25th, 1876. On this date, June the 25th, 1947, the tennis shoe was designed. On this date, June the 25th, 1950, the Korean War started after North Korea forces invaded South Korea. The war lasted 3 years and cost the lives of 4 million soldiers and civilians. On this date, June the 25th, 1951, CBS presented the first commercial television broadcast in history, the first colored TV commercial broadcast. You guys remember back in the day, I can remember my mom come home and said, hey, we've got colored television. They used to sell those red, blue, and yellow little film that you put on your TV, and I thought, what the hell? Hey, I'm not eating today, but I'm watching colored TV. On this date, June the 25th, 1993, Kim Campbell was sworn in as Canadian's first female prime minister. On this date, June the 25th, 2009, Michael Jackson died. That's what happened on this date, June the 25th, throughout all these years in our world's history. You know, I just thought about that, speaking of my mother bringing home our first colored television, and it was great. Man, I thought I was living in high heaven. I was living in high heaven back in the day. Lived in the housing projects, ate one meal a day if we were lucky. Never had, and I want to know why people now got to have air conditioning. Are you crazy? We didn't even know what air conditioning was back in the 50s in the Roosevelt homes. Did not know. And really, we didn't give a damn. We had a fan, a window fan in our living room. We had some butter and bread and cheese on the table. Man, we were living great back in the day. I didn't know I was living bad till I got a little bit older. But you know what? You end up surviving on what you have to survive on. That's what makes this country so great. You know, I guarantee you, most of you people coming up, you didn't come from old money. Now, a lot of you have made money, made a lot of new money, and that's great because it was money that you went out and busted your asses for, started businesses. But there's not a lot of old money anymore. But when you think about the past, doesn't it motivate you? Doesn't it make you feel good? See, I come up in the Roosevelt homes. If I die tomorrow, if I lose everything I have, and I've worked hard for what I've got, I had a good run, and I was motivated, not by the feeling of success. It was never I wanted to do something to be successful. I always wanted to do something because of fear of failure. I wasn't going to fail. Now, I've been down a bumpy road, and we've all been down bumpy roads in our lives. But I'll tell you what, and I mean this, other than the loss of my parents and the loved ones, I wouldn't have done it any different. I would not have done it any different. You know, sometime you got to get knocked down so you can get back up and appreciate where you've been, you know? Some people don't appreciate that. And I sit here every day. And say, I'm going to make the best and the most of this day and every day. Now, if I piss you off, that's just the way it is. I'm sure you're going to piss off a lot of people today. But let's don't go around every day and worry about being politically correct. That politically correct crap is going to kill all of us. It's going to kill all of us. I want to talk about this ignorant, stupid, no-count, low-life, rotten bastard. And you'll say, who the hell is that? Because there's a zillion of them out there. Curtis McCall Jr. I find out yesterday that his nickname is Spanky. Curtis McCall Jr.'s nickname is Spanky. You know, maybe that's why he's so stupid and dumb and goofy. Maybe he spanked his little thing too much in the bathroom when he was younger. You remember your mama saying, don't play with it, it'll make you crazy. I think in Curtis McCall Jr.'s instance, it didn't make him crazy, it just made him stupid. And I watched some of the meetings, somebody taped some of the board meeting at Cahokia. God Sprague, I tell you what, your face is as red as a tomato. And he sit there like the dumbass he is, and I'm talking about God Sprague. Curtis McCall Jr. is a dumbass too, but I'm sitting there watching part of this video of the Cahokia Village Board meeting. Could not believe it. God Sprague had nothing to say, but I think I know what God Sprague's thinking. Hey, let these ignorant black son of a bitch fight, because I'll be able to make a lot more money in legal fees, and I can go up and even move farther away than the Archards and Belleville to get away from the blacks. Do you notice these white ignorant son of a bitches that we call our political leaders in St. Clair County? They don't come down there to East St. Louis. They don't come down below the hill. They don't want to be with you black son of a bitches. Are you nuts? They talk about you like dogs. I've been in meeting after meeting after meeting, and I guarantee you, if I had $1 for every time the N-word was used, I could retire 10 years ago. And don't think that I'm being funny, because I'm not. And you proud blacks below the hill, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm not shilling for the blacks. I'm going to make the blacks pissed off, probably, some of them. The race baiters, I'm going to piss off in a little bit. The proud black people will understand what I'm saying and where I'm coming from. But Curtis McCall Jr., there's an editorial, and at the bottom it says, playing politics with hungry children is not the way to begin an administration. No, it's not. And I'll tell you, it's going to be downhill from day one in Cahokia and Centerville Township. But see, Curtis McCall Sr., he'll come up and step and fetch for the white boys that tried to kick him in his ass, and they did. The only reason Curtis McCall is up there, Sr., is up there with the white boys, because he used that race baiting crap. Hey, all you blacks, I'm going to go up there and take care of these white boys. I heard him say that when he first fought Sprague. But Sprague was smart, see? He knew it'd be easier to give Curtis McCall Sr. something. I don't think Sprague likes Curtis McCall Sr., and I know Curtis McCall Sr. doesn't like Sprague. I remember hearing some of the talk back in the day. Curtis McCall called him everything plus a white man. But Curtis McCall Jr., you're sitting there in Cahokia. You know nothing about what you're doing. You've got God Sprague, you've got your daddy, and you've got a couple thugs walking around with you. Don't think you're going to be successful. See, you know what people say, don't wish for something because you may get it. I don't think you ever wanted to be mayor, Curtis McCall Jr. I think that was your daddy's crap. But now, see, your daddy has got you in this vat of crap, and where the hell is he at? And I want to say, for the lady that he talked about the food pantry, Christina Walker, Christina, give me a call. I think I can get you a very, very good attorney. I think the News Democrat should be sued, and I think Curtis McCall Jr. should be sued. For him to say that he had all kind of complaints in a folder, and that little jerked-off little bitch, Carolyn Smith from the News Democrat, to not ask to see them? What do you think about that? Wouldn't you have asked to see, hey, let me see some of these complaints? But I think you've got a hell of a lawsuit, Christina Walker. So if you want to contact me, I've got a lot of friends that are good attorneys, and I think the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition would love to get involved in this because it wasn't right. And what was less right than that, firing this lady, was shutting down the food pantry. And they were right. The News Democrat in this editorial said they could have fired the lady if they wanted. But why didn't they keep the food pantry open through the transition? It would have been just as easy. But no, the McCall team is going to force their hand, and they're going to say, hey, we're going to do it our way. We don't give a damn about what people think. Now, they've got control of Cahokia. They've got control of Centerville. And I have to say, I like Marcus Jackson. He's the mayor of Centerville, always been decent with me. I think all Mark wants to do is serve his people of Centerville. I don't think he really wants to get involved in the political fight that's going on, that will continue to go on as long as I have a breath and the members of the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition have a breath. But he's got a foothold. Curtis McCall Jr. and Curtis McCall Sr. in Centerville Township. But I hear that the governor's people are coming down. I don't think in 2016 anyone's going to stand for all the voting fraud that went on in Centerville Township, that went on in East St. Louis. I think it's going to be a different day. And I think we may finally get an election that's going to be fair and impartial. Now, maybe not. This is St. Clair County. You never know. But I would believe that that's what we're going to get. I want to talk, and I want to say this with all due respect. You heard about this trooper getting fired on right in East St. Louis at Interstate 255 and I believe 70th Street, the exit ramp off 255 going into State Street, 68, 69th and State. And I want to say I have nothing but total respect for the Illinois State Police. They're very well-trained, very professional gentlemen. But I got to say, and I feel compelled to say this, I don't know how, when they say this trooper had this gentleman get out of his car, and this gentleman, my ass, this thug, no-count, low-life son of a bitch, whatever his name is, let me see, Gregory K. Nelson, come out and pulled a gun from inside his clothes and rushed at the trooper as he began to fire, and I believe it was a 9mm. It said the shots were fired from a 9mm handgun, according to state police. Now, and then the trooper shot back. And again, I want to say this with all due respect to the officer that was shot at. I'm thankful and happy that he went home to his family. But with all this crap in Ferguson and all this other crap going on in Brooklyn, going on in Cleveland, going on in Baltimore, I got to say, I think in the back of this trooper's mind, he didn't want to shoot this guy. I think now that he felt, let him go and we'll get him. Because this trooper, I think in the back of his mind, hey, I've got a family to come home to. You know, I've got children to come home to. I have to support my family. Now, if I shoot this guy after he shot at me and he's running away and I have to shoot him in the back, me and my family's lives will change. Me and my family's lives will change forever. And I think the officer, the trooper, was hesitant when this situation happened. And I'm just thankful, and I know everyone else is, just thankful that this trooper survived. This trooper didn't get shot. But think about it. You're a trooper, you're well-trained, and a guy's close to you. And I know it's a stressful situation, but the gentleman didn't get shot. I think the trooper was hesitant because he thought, hey, if I shoot this guy in the back after he shot at me and he's taken off running, or if I shoot him in the front, there's going to be hell to pay. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe I am, because I believe these troopers are trained. They're all fine marksmen. I think he hesitated just for a moment. And just thankfully, that hesitation didn't cost him his life. Now, I could be wrong, but I would bet money. And again, I don't want to talk bad of this trooper. I'm glad he walked home. I'm glad he got to go home to his family. Glad he got to go home to his children. But think about it. Gunshots that close, and here's a trooper, a well-trained trooper, and he doesn't put the guy down. See, I think that's going to be the problem throughout this great country of ours. I think that's going to be the problem throughout this great country of ours, that these police officers, these highly trained, professional, dedicated police officers are all going to hesitate. And at some point, it's not going to be as fortunate as this trooper was. It's not going to be as fortunate because one of these days when one of these policemen hesitate, they're going to get hurt. They're going to get killed. And at that point, I would say their blood is on our hands because we didn't stick behind our police officers. And I got to say, I'm going to segue this into the flag after we come back from break. But this situation was because of a black situation in Ferguson. The Confederate flag was because of the black situation. And I'm not shorting the proud black people. But it just appears that there's some kind of pattern here. If it's got to do with race, everybody stands up and pays attention and takes time out to think about it. But a lot of time it's not about race. It's more about what's right and wrong. We'll be back right after this break. This is Bob Romanik. The Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, and proud to be your First Amendment and all-American station, Radical Radio, and it gets worse. And we stand tall as the Patriot.
From KQQZ 1190 AM, St. Louis, Missouri, USA, you're listening to Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio.
This is Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, Radical Radio, and we are, as always, proud to be the Patriot. During the break, I was contacted by Christina Walker, the nice lady who was thrown out of the food pantry in Cahokia, the nice lady that did a great job, the nice lady, because she decided that she wanted to exercise her right as an American and run for office. Just so happened to be running against Curtis McCall's people. She gets thrown out, and that's bad enough. But by her being thrown out, the poor, the hungry, the children, the young mothers, they're not eating. But I talked to Christina Walker, and she said that she could not talk. She'd love to talk, but she's talking with her attorneys, and she said that pending future litigation, she cannot make any comments at this time. And she said, it's kind of ironic. That was Curtis McCall Sr.'s line. Every time he doesn't want to talk to somebody, he will say, I can't talk because of future pending litigation. So that was very ironic. But Christine Walker, I don't think you're going to I think you'll be hearing a lot more about Christine Walker because she's not going to take this lying down. And I don't think the good people of Cahokia are going to take it lying down. So, Christina, the best of luck to you. Anything the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition can do, let us know, because that's what we're about. Helping the people that are getting beat up, politically beat up by the culture of corruption in St. Clair County, the culture of corruption that we call the St. Clair County Democratic Central Committee. We got a caller? Go ahead, caller. You're on the dark side.
Good morning, Bob. This is Representative Charlie Meyer.
Charlie, how the heck you doing? Listen, Charlie, I'm glad you called. I was talking good about you because I can't talk bad because I don't have anything or don't know anything bad to talk about you. I remember all the times that you were on the air with me and how you fought and continue to fight to keep the Murray Center open. I was at the Murray Center. You invited me there, and one day I drove through, and what a great place for less fortunate people. And they can't fight for themselves, Charlie. And you'd been fighting for them. And I want to give the listeners a little background. Governor Quinn and the Democrats, they fought so hard to shut the Murray Center down, and you fought so hard to keep it open, and you prevailed, and you won. But what really pisses me off, Charlie, I see in the paper a couple days ago, and I know that you're supportive of Governor Rauner's platforms, and I'm supportive to the point where we're going to have to cut back everywhere. But now here's Eddie Jackson. I won't use their nicknames out of respect for you because I know they're your colleagues. Eddie Jackson, state representative. Jay Hoffman, state representative. Senator Claiborne, state senator. And 4 or 5 others get behind this lady in a photo shoot that her daughter has autism. And now they're saying, poor lady, your daughter's not going to get any care because Rauner's trying to cut the budget. Why weren't they behind you, Charlie, trying to keep the Murray Center open?
Well, so some things are political, and what's going on right now is very political. We have a $4 billion deficit in this budget, in the Democratic proposed budget. Where were they when Governor Quinn was handing out $55 million on the street corners in his Chicago Neighborhood Initiative? Where were they trying to get that money for people with autism? Nowhere. Let it be handed out to all his friends. The waste of money has been terrible in this budget. Governor Rauner is not against people with autism. He's not for really shutting a lot of these things down, but there's no money for him now. And, Einstein said it best when he said doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. And we have had unbalanced budgets for 12 years, and we cannot, the state of Illinois is broke. We can't afford it. And, the Democrats have put themselves behind all these not-for-profit organizations saying they want to help them. Well, we don't have the funds to give them. If we've got to find those funds. All those not-for-profit organizations are paying workman's comp on all their employees. They're paying the high cost of tort reform with the payouts for their insurance. These things all add up cost to them too. This is what Rauner is saying. If we could change this, it would bring business back into Illinois, and we would have the funds to fund all these agencies. So, using people's misfortune to try to cry so they can have more money to hand out on the street corners in Chicago, which is what they've done with this last money. Chicago hasn't raised their property taxes since 1960. They're only assessed 10% of their value, where you and me are assessed 33% of our tax value down here. It's not fair. Those people up there need to pay taxes like me and you do. We're working people. We pay our taxes, and those taxes help people. Yeah. And we need to get the legislators on board that there has to be a change. We need a balanced budget, and yes, we need to fund autism. Yeah. But these parents are being taken advantage of by the Democrats who's blaming it all on Rauner when they're the ones who have repeatedly never had a balanced budget.
Charlie, I've listened to some Governor Rauner's speeches, and I know what you're about. I know you're about serving the people. And I actually say this. I think that's what Governor Rauner's about. I don't think he cares about making any money. I think he cares about the people. He's a businessman. And I think that's what we need. But here's what we need, Charlie. And you're a farmer, but so you're in essence a businessman. But don't you think these politicians, some of your cohorts in Springfield, state representatives, state senators, don't you think they better start thinking more on the business level than on the political level? If they don't, I think our state's going to be destroyed totally.
Our state is totally destroyed right now. And, Rauner is the least political person out there. He's out there trying to change things to straighten Illinois out. And he's working with Democrats and Republicans, and it doesn't matter who you are. And but Madigan continues to hold the state hostage, and we've got to change that. We need tort reform. We need workman's comp reform, and term limits. That's not a bad thing. but they will have nothing to hear of it. Even if you raise Rauner's term limits up from 8 years to 12 years or something, go through and look at the list of how many people have been there longer than 12 years. Look at the list of how many people have been longer than 15 or 20 years. Look how long Madigan's been there, 42 years.
He's been a state representative in Illinois for 42 years.
42 years. He's been speaker for 32.
Now, see, Charlie, that tells me, I don't care Democrat or Republican, that tells me it's time for a change. Can you answer this, Charlie? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't want to put you on the spot. But how many positions have to be switched from Democrat to Republican to give the governor in 2016, to give him a fighting chance to do what's right for the people of this great state of Illinois?
Well, one vote takes the supermajority away, just simply flipping one seat.
One vote?
Well, one takes the supermajority away in the House. Not in the Senate. We'd have to gain a couple more. But, we have 47 Republicans, and they have 71 Democrats. We would need to be at 61 to have a majority. I mean, that gives you a majority. But even just taking one vote away from Madigan would be a huge thing in starting to change things.
Yep.
We've got to work towards that. This man has had too much power for too long. And when you take advantage of the disabled, which we've repeatedly watched, it's a crying shame.
Yeah, that's what, when I saw that, Charlie, that was the first thing I thought, and I wanted to call you, and again, I appreciate the call back, that you fight, and you've been fighting these years for the Murray Center. I've listened to you on the air. I've talked to people that have you've been out there trying to get funds, trying to do whatever. Now, all of a sudden, the Democrats are far the less fortunate, only for the photo op. And I think that's the most egregious thing in the world, Charlie, when I don't give a damn if it's a Democrat, Republican, man or woman, when they use the misfortunes of other people to benefit themselves politically. I don't think there's anything worse in this life other than murder than that.
They need to have the focus off of a budget. They need to have the focus off the fact this budget's $4 billion wrong. So they will take every photo op they have the opportunity for, and that's all this special session has been about this summer, is giving them photo op times so that they can. We haven't done things on the budget that really matter. We do things on amendments, and it's crazy. This problem right there. July 1st is right around the corner, and we're still doing our photo ops instead of sitting down trying to see what would make a difference. And, they want things to stay the same as they have. We lose more jobs in the state of Illinois every day. People continue to move out. The people who are paying the taxes are the ones that are moving out, and we're losing the tax base, and we don't have workers paying taxes in.
Yeah, what we're hearing down here, Charlie, and of course, there's always political rhetoric going on, all throughout the state. Is there any chance that there will actually be a shutdown of the state come July?
Well, I believe after Governor Rauner did sign the education part of a budget, our schools will get their payments. So that was the big thing that I thought would force this to be resolved sooner. But schools will be able to open on time, and so this could be a battle. We're in session 2 days next week, where we've only been in 1 day for the month of June every week. Maybe we're going to start doing something next week. For the first time ever, I've heard Chicago talking about maybe they'll have to raise their taxes.
Yeah.
Like I say, you take a house down here that we pay $14,000 a year on, or $10,000 a year taxes on. Up there, they're only paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on that house.
Charlie, Chicago, and the people in southern Illinois, a lot of them never been to Chicago, and if they have, they don't understand the workings. But Chicago, in essence, they're a state of their own, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. They are, and they have never tried to live by a balanced budget, They always come to the state of Illinois. We're the biggest city here. You need to take care of us, or otherwise it'll be bad for the state. Well, guess what? The state of Illinois is ran the same way, and they're both broke.
Hey, Charlie, I appreciate your time. In closing, what do you have to say to the good people of the great state of Illinois to get us on track so we can get these political leaders together so we can get something done to help us all out?
We need to keep encouraging all of our senators and representatives that the things that will change this state are tort reform, workman's comp reform, and term limits. And what's so bad about putting a vote out there that'll put you out of a job for 8 or 10 years? You know, I don't want to be a state rep for 20 or 30 years. That's not what I went up there for. I went up there to try to make a difference. Hopefully I can do that in 5 or 8 years and then work on getting out of it. But, you know, a lot of people like to go up there and become a career politician. So I don't look at myself as that. You know, I'm struggling with this wet year to get my wheat crop in, and I jumped off the tractor, talked to you. I'm raking hay right now. I'm going to try to get some hay baled, too, today, besides combining.
Hey, Charlie Myers, state representative from the 108th District out of Oakville. Charlie Myers, it's always an honor and a privilege. You keep up the fight in Springfield, because if we keep getting more people like you involved, I think we'll be a winner in the end. Charlie Myers, state representative out of Oakville. Thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you, Bob. Have a good day.
You too, sir. Now, see, there's a guy that will call you back, state representative, comes to the radio station. He don't come in a suit and tie. Are you crazy? He comes in bib overalls. He comes with dirt on his shoes. I bitched at him one time. He got dirt on the carpet. But see, that's a real man. That's a farmer. That's somebody that's going to do for himself and do for others. And that's what we need. That's what we need in our political arena. We don't need these political hacks, these has-beens. You heard him. You heard Charlie Myers. 42 years in government as a state representative. 32 years as a leader of the Democratic House in Springfield, Michael Madigan. Now, you know that's not right. That breeds so much contempt and corruption. It's unreal. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to get on the Confederate flag. This is Bob Romanik. The Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, radical radio. And we are, as always, proud, very proud to be the Patriot.
From KQQZ 1190 AM, St. Louis, Missouri, USA, you're listening to Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio.
This is Bob Romanik, the Grim Reaper of radio, and you're listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, radical radio, and we are, as always, proud to be the Patriot. Just got a call from a good friend of ours, JR. JR said he thought he had cancer, found out he didn't. JR, hey, that's great news, and we wish you the very best, JR. And again, thanks for the call. We've got another caller. Go ahead, caller. You're on the dark side.
Hey, Bob.
Hello.
I have the perfect solution to fix Illinois' financial problem.
Uh-huh.
Let's start with the people who actually caused this. As we all know, our Congress and Senators have been raiding the teacher's pension, the state pension, giving themselves raises, free benefits. Well, you know, Mr. Jackson. You know
right.
What kind of thing
Yes, I do, sir.
Well, this is what I think we should do. We need to look up who the people were that have been raiding the the pensions, have been voting themselves raises and benefits, and we'll start with them. We'll take all the senators and congressmen that have been doing that, present and past. We'll strip them to one pension, and then we're going to cut it in half. And then if they're still working, we're cutting their pay in half. We'll make them pay for their own insurance, since we have to do that. They have to drive their own cars to and from work, since, you know, the average taxpayer who is their bosses, we are their employers. They work for us. what's good for us should be good for them.
Yeah. You know what, Joe? I agree with you completely. These rotten bastards, minus a few. Now, State Representative Charlie Meyer, State Representative Dwight Kay, they would, and I've talked with them, they would have no problem cutting their pay, cutting some pensions, but you can't do it unless you get everybody together. But most of these rotten bastards, they talk about reforms, but they don't want to reform their crap. You know what I mean? They don't want to reform by taking, I thought about running for state representative, and I still may run against Eddie the Gerbil Jackson. I would not take a salary, but I would ask, and I would have legislation brought forth that everyone should get $25,000 a year. Don't need a pension for a part-time job. We don't need to burden the taxpayers with pensions and benefits. If you can't do it for $25,000 a year for a part-time job to try to help your people in the state of Illinois, then don't run, because it's not about money. It's not a money grab. It's a grab to help the people of this great state. Joe, thank you for the call. We talked yesterday about the Confederate flag, and I want to preface this by saying I loathe the Confederate flag. I loathe what it stood for. I believe every man, every woman, whatever color, should be free. I'm not for the Confederacy in any way, shape, or form. But having said that, more than being against the Confederacy, I'm for this great United States of America. And I think it's asinine that some of the groups, primarily black, are trying to force this flag out of the country. People, let me tell you, that's part of our heritage. That's part of our heritage. There was a Civil War. What, are we going to wipe out the Confederate flag and act like there was no Civil War? I say it was wrong. It was totally wrong what the Confederate Army did, what the Confederate forces did. But it happened. We have to learn from our mistakes, and we have to move on. We can't reinvent history. And again, if some idiot wants to fly a Confederate flag, that's his business. But I heard people on a talk show last night on TV, and they were really sincere. They told the commentator, we knew it was a war, but that was our Southern heritage. That was our Southern heritage. You can't wipe people's history off the face of this earth. You can't get rid of the people that were in the Confederacy, their forefathers. You can't get rid of it. Why are you trying? It's just forcing someone's hand. They say that Confederate flag was a symbol of racism, a symbol of slavery, and it was wrong. But what about the Nazi flag that I talked about yesterday? What about the Nazi flag that I talked about yesterday? You can buy it still today. Killed 7-8 million Jews. Burn them. And you can still get that flag? Because the Jewish people, even though they know that it was wrong, it's still part of the history that we have to grasp. We have to learn to live with. You can't wipe the Nazis off the face of the earth. You can't wipe the Confederate Army, the Confederate flag off the face of this earth. And it was wrong. Those flags stood for wrong. In the Confederacy, it was slavery. The Nazi flag stood for hating the Jews. 7 million. I don't think there was 7 million black people killed because of the Confederate flag. I think there was a lot of soldiers that were killed. But that flag was symbolic of what went on. But let me tell you the most egregious. And I'm a proud American. I love this great country. But I have to be honest. There was a flag that's flown day in and day out. That flag fought against the American Native Indians. That flag was there when the American Native Indians' land was taken away from them in what is now the United States of America. The American Indians, the Native Americans, the first Americans, people came in, slaughtered their families. You hear me? Slaughtered their families and took their land. They slaughtered their families. The Native American Indians were slaughtered. And gentlemen, they flew under a flag, these people that killed these Indians who just wanted their land. And it was wrong. It was totally wrong what was done. They come in and moved all the Indians out. They stole their land. They killed their children. And some of the people that killed these Indians, they died too because it was war. But a lot of these Native American Indians, 90%, and it was researched, fought in the Civil War for the Confederacy. You know why? Because they hated the people that killed their families, that stole their land. And you know the flag that was flown that killed the Native American Indians, that slaughtered their people, that stole all their land? You know what flag that was? That was a great United States of America flag. And it was wrong. It was wrong what they did. But it happened. We have to learn to live with it. We have to learn to accept it. We have to learn from our mistakes. And that was a mistake, too, to slaughter these Native American Indians. But that's what the United States did. And it was wrong. And nobody's perfect in this life. But I don't see anybody saying, hey, let's not fly that American flag. Let's not fly that American flag. Now, they don't want the Confederate flag flown because of slavery, and there were some lives taken in slavery. There wasn't any property because the slaves never had any property. But they want that flag not to be flown. But I'll tell you, they want the American flag to be flown. And I'm surprised that the Native American Indians aren't taking up the fight and saying, hey, if the Confederate flag's got to go, the American flag's got to go. Because there was a lot more atrocious things done under the auspices of that American flag than there was the Confederate flag. There was a lot more done under the auspices of the Nazi flag than there was the Confederate flag. But it appears if you get a good lobby group and you want to be politically correct, that's the problem. It's not the symbol of the flag, the Confederate flag. It's the political correctness that pisses me off. And I know it's primarily the blacks, and I've got a lot of black friends. And the Confederacy was wrong. But for the proud blacks, for any blacks to say, you can't let them fly that flag, they shouldn't fly that flag, and we're going to protest people that sell that flag, that's wrong. You don't see the Jewish people doing that with the Nazi flag. You don't see the American Native Indian doing that about the American flag, the great United States of America. And what's more egregious? Taking somebody's freedom, making them slaves, or taking someone's property and killing their family members, slaughtering their family members. And it was back in the 1800s, and it wasn't right. It was totally wrong. And us as Americans, we ought to be ashamed for what we did. But it was done. We have to learn from our mistakes and come out of those bad times and make it good times. We can't change history, what the United States did to the Indians. We can't change history, what the Nazis did to the Jewish people. And we can't change history, what the Union Army did to what the Confederate Army did to the Union Army and the slavery situation. We cannot, you hear me? We cannot change that. So why are we trying to reinvent history? If we're going to reinvent history with the Confederate flag, let's reinvent history with the Nazi flag. And then what? Then what comes next? You know, we're going to have to reinvent the history of the United States, of this great United States of America. We can't do that. We can't do that, but people understand this flag is just a symbol. The Confederacy was bad. Slavery was bad. I condemn that to the utmost. I also condemn the Nazis for killing all the Jews. And I don't condemn this great United States of America, but I do condemn what our forefathers did to the Indians, the Native American Indians. The Native American Indians never would have killed one of our people, one of the United States Army soldiers, the cavalry that came through, if the United States hadn't taken their land illegally, of course. They didn't start the fight, the Native American Indians, and I'm not pimping for the Native American Indians. I'm pimping for what's wrong and what's right, and that was wrong. But that was part of our history, people. The Americans slaughtered the Native American Indians. We still fly that great United States of America flag, the old red, white, and blue, and I love this country. But you can't defend something that's wrong, and that was wrong back in the day. I had nothing to do with it. You had nothing to do with it. We can't wipe out that part of history. We have to learn from that. We have to learn from the wrong things that were done and try to right them and try to make things right and move forward. That's what we did with the American Indians. That's what we did with the German people who were against the Jews, who killed the Nazis, who burned 7 million innocent people. And that's what we have to do with this Confederate flag. We have to let it fly if we're true Americans. If we're not hypocrites, we have to let it fly. And it's not a black and white thing. It's a right or wrong thing. And it's wrong to stop people from exercising their right to remember their heritage, whatever it is. And I say, once again, in closing, if we make such a big to-do about the Confederate flag, we have to make such a big to-do about the United States of America's great symbol. And I say we can't do either, because we all make mistakes. We live by them. We feel sorry about what happened, both during the Civil War and the Indian War. But we can't change history. And we fly that great American flag with all the honor and respect that we can give it, because it is a great country. We live in a great country. But we're not perfect people. The Americans aren't perfect people, but we're good people. And we learn from our mistakes. And the Indian Wars were a mistake. And so was the Civil War. But we still fly that American flag. And if we can still fly that American flag, that Confederate flag should fly if people want to fly it, to remember their heritage, to remember not only the good about the Confederacy. The Confederate people, when they see that flag, it'll be a reminder of what they did wrong. It'll remind them that slavery was wrong. So I think it's a good symbol to fly. I don't believe in their philosophy, but let them fly their flag, just like everyone lets us fly this great United States of America flag, the old red, white, and blue, Old Glory. And it flew sometimes for the good in all these wars overseas, but it flew sometime for the bad in the war against the Indians. This is Bob Romanik. The Grim Reaper of radio, and you've been listening to the all-new KQQZ 1190 AM, America's bi-state voice of freedom, radical radio. And we are, as always, proud to be the Patriot. In closing, I have to say, there's an article, the editorial cartoon, and on the back of the bumper sticker, you know when it reads, guns don't kill people, people kill people. On the back of this one, on this editorial cartoon, it says, guns don't kill people, flags kill people. Flags don't, symbols don't, it's the actions. But again, we can't remake history. We can't change history. We learn from our mistakes and move forward. That's what we've done as Americans. So now let someone say, I don't care what group, you can't fly this and you can't do that. That's not true. That's not true being a true American. You can have your way, but you're going to have to let the other people have theirs. And if not, you become the worst thing you can be, a hypocrite. And this great country, it was not built on people being hypocrites. It was built on people being honest, people trying to fight for what they believe in. Sometimes their thoughts were right. Sometimes their thoughts were wrong. The Civil War, World War I, World War II, their wars, the Indian Wars, wars that we didn't need, but we can't change what happened. So let's don't try to change now with the Confederate flag, because if it gets to that point, then we're going to be changing a lot of things that we don't want to change. Let's not be hypocrites in this great country. Let's learn from our mistakes. And together, if we do, we can all become better people, and more so than that, better Americans.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha. To the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time. And I'll be happy to see those nice young men in their clean white coats. And they're coming to take me away, ha-ha.
The Patriot.
Your First Amendment and All-American station. A division of Insane Broadcasting. Renegade Radio.